They'll tell you to wait. Wait until the timing is right. Wait until you feel ready. Wait until you get permission. But the truth is this. No empire was ever built on permission. No legend ever rose by waiting. Every excuse you cling to is a chain. A silent anchor holding you in a life you were never meant to settle for. You weren't born to chase comfort. You were born to conquer limits. And if you don't rise to build the life you see in your dreams, you'll be buried beneath the weight of the life you feared. You either build, or you break. And every time you hit snooze on your potential, you're not just wasting time. You're making a statement to the universe. I am okay with being average. But average was never in your DNA. You feel that, don't you? That fire in your chest that refuses to die. That voice in your soul that says, there's more. You were meant for more. That voice is truth. The world around you, it's noise. And most people, they drown in that noise, scrolling through distractions, drenched in comparison, living inside excuses dressed up as logic. But you're here. Not because you're like everyone else, but because you're ready to shed that skin, to trade your story of struggle for one of strength. You want to know why so many people fail? Because they build their lives on emotion, not principle. They act when they feel like it. They wait for motivation. They want a result without transformation. But the ones who rise, they build systems inside themselves. They hardwire belief. They install discipline. They visualize not just a better life. They feel it. They breathe it. And then they go to war for it. Carnegie didn't wait for the world to hand him wealth. He bled for it. Ford didn't stumble into innovation. He obsessed over it until it obeyed him. And Edison? He failed thousands of times. But each failure was a brick in the foundation of his empire. You see, greatness isn't found. It's forged. And the furnace that is discomfort, discipline, relentless, unshakable clarity. You don't get to skip the suffering. You don't get to bypass the sacrifice. The price of the life you want is the life you're afraid to let go of. Let that sink in. So what's it going to be? Another day of excuses? Or the first day of your empire? Because here's the truth they won't tell you. No one is coming to save you. Not your friends. Not your family. Not fate. You were given everything you need the day you were born. The rest is up to you. You either wake up and go get it, or you let the world decide for you. Where you live, how much you make, what you're worth. And make no mistake, if you don't define your value, the world will undervalue you every single time. You want power? Then get precise. Stop saying someday, and start saying now. Clarity isn't optional. It's your weapon. A man without clarity is a man walking blindfolded through a battlefield. He will lose. Not because he wasn't strong, but because he didn't know where he was going. So write the vision. Speak it aloud. Every morning, burn it into your brain like a branding iron. This is who I am. This is where I'm going. This is what I will build. Because if you don't control your thoughts, they will control you. And your mind, that's the throne room. It's where your empire begins. Every belief you allow is a seed. Water the wrong ones, and you'll grow weeds of self-doubt, a forest of fear. But feed the right one. Feed the thoughts of discipline, belief, resilience, and power. And you'll build something no economy, no setback, no critic can take from you. Your excuses have lied to you long enough. They told you you're not ready. They said you're too late, too old, too broken, too tired. But those aren't facts. They're fictions. They're the echoes of every small, scared version of you that's terrified of your own potential. Let that version die. Because the real you, the one, buried beneath every excuse, is ready to build. And when you build from belief, you don't just change your life. You change your lineage. And that is what legacy truly is. Not a name carved in stone, but a mindset passed through generations. A spirit that whispers to your children and your children's children. We do not fold. We build. We rise. We endure. Empires are not born in comfort. They are born in conflict, built in the shadows when no one is watching. Hammered together in the dark hours, when everyone else is asleep and you are grinding. When the world says rest but your soul says more. When doubt knocks and you answer with action. That's when greatness is born. Discipline is your weapon. Use it, not just when you're motivated. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the engine. Motivation fades with emotion. But discipline shows up regardless. Wake up when you say you will. Train when your body screams no. Work on your dream when your friend are wasting their lives. That's how you build internal momentum, the kind that cannot be stopped. You want freedom? Earn it. You want success? Bleed for it. Because anything handed to you will eventually own you. But what you build with your bare hands, what you create through struggle and fire, that becomes part of you. That's yours. And no recession, no critic, no enemy can take it. Do not fear pain. Pain is the evidence that you're alive. Pain is the tuition for greatness. But regret is death on a payment plan. You feel it in your soul, every day you play small. Every moment you lie to yourself, every time you say tomorrow, knowing deep down you mean never. Let this be the year you bury that lie. Let this be the day your excuses die and your empire begins. Do you think Lincoln built resolve in the sunlight? No. He forged it in failure, loss, and isolation. Do you think Disney dreamed from a place of success? He was fired for lack of imagination. Yet he imagined a world the rest of us couldn't even see. That's vision. That's power, and power belongs to the persistent. Understand this. There will be no applause when you begin. There will be no comfort in the climb. But if you commit, if you anchor yourself in purpose, there will be glory in the aftermath. Success is a war, and the first enemy is within. It's not the economy. It's not your past. It's not your boss, your bank account, your background. It's the voice. The quiet, toxic voice that says maybe you're not enough. The one that shows up when you're alone. The one that doubts every big idea before it even begins. Silence it. Not with words, with wins. Stack so many daily victories that self-doubt starves to death. Because confidence is not a gift, it's a reward. And belief is not something you're born with, it's something you build. One decision at a time. One moment of courage after another. Brick by brick, until nothing can shake it. You want to lead? Lead yourself first. Want respect? Respect your own time, your own goals, your own potential. Want results? Then do the damn work, especially when it's hardest. Because that moment, that precise moment you want to quit, that is where most people fold, and where leaders are born. They will ask, how did you do it? How did you build something out of nothing? You will smile. Because you'll know. You didn't wait. You didn't wish. You decided. And when you decided, the universe moved, and that's the moment everything began to shift. Not when you had money. Not when you had connections. Not even when the results showed up. It began the day you said, I will no longer betray the person I was born to become. Because self-betrayal is the most expensive habit you'll ever carry. Every excuse is a form of it. Every goal you abandon is a wound you carve into your own spirit. And your soul can't thrive when you're constantly telling it, later someday maybe. But destiny doesn't wait on indecision. It demands devotion. Look around. This world was built by the obsessed. Not the interested. Not the curious. The obsessed. The men and women who sacrificed comfort for contribution. Who traded ease for impact. Do you think Elon Musk built rockets because it was convenient? Do you think Oprah rose from trauma because it was easy? Do you think Napoleon Hill wrote about faith, desire, and definite purpose because life handed him luxury? No. They were called, and they answered. Not with noise, but with discipline. Not with talk, but with relentless, daily, unshakable action. And so must you. You don't build an empire in a burst. You build it in layers. In the silence. In the unseen hours. Where doubt lurks. Where no one claps. Where no one believes except you. That's where it happens. And if you're not willing to endure that silence, you don't deserve the spotlight. You want to lead millions? Master one. Yourself. Your mind. Your mornings. Your mission. Win those battles before the world ever sees the results. Because if your inner world is chaos, your outer world will reflect it. No wealth, no title, no status will compensate for the emptiness of a man who does not know himself, but the one who knows who he is, what he's building, what he will not tolerate. That man becomes unbreakable. So stop asking if you're worthy. You wouldn't have the vision if you didn't have the ability. You wouldn't feel that fire if you weren't meant to rise. Stop doubting and start deciding. Decide that your goals are no longer suggestions. They are orders. Your routines are no longer optional. They are rituals. Your identity is no longer accidental. It is intentional. From this moment forward, you no longer shrink to fit comfort. You expand into pressure. You no longer chase motivation. You enforce standards. You no longer live to survive. You live to dominate your space. To lead your field. To build something so strong, it outlives your breath. Because you weren't put here to blend in. You were put here to break cycles, to be the one in your bloodline that said, it ends with me, and it begins with me. That is the empire mindset. You don't look at obstacles and run. You study them. You dismantle them. You use them as fuel. Every failure? Fuel. Every betrayal? Fuel. Every late night, every early morning, every loss. It all becomes the bricks of your castle. Not a castle built for ego, but a kingdom built on truth, character, and purpose. And the deeper your purpose, the greater your power. because a man who knows why he was born cannot be stopped by temporary pain. So when fear shows up, and it will, you look it dead in the eye and say, you can't scare someone who's already died to his old self. Because that version of you, the one ruled by excuses, driven by emotion, distracted by nonsense, he's gone. And what's left is a builder, a warrior, a force. You're no longer waiting. You're no longer wondering. You are becoming. You are becoming the kind of person the world cannot ignore. The kind of person who does not flinch at adversity, who smiles at struggle, who shows up when it's dark, when it's heavy, when no one else would dare move forward. That's the difference between those who try and those who transform, between those who dabble and those who dominate. You think empires are built by people who felt like it? No. They were built by people who showed up anyway, who built when they were tired, who pushed through betrayal, who sacrificed the version of themselves that was liked, to become the version that was legendary. And understand this, your environment may not support you. Your friends may not understand you. Your family might think you've changed. Good. You're supposed to change. You're supposed to outgrow them. Because if you can fit into the same spaces you used to, you're not growing. You're shrinking. Growth demands separation. Discipline demands sacrifice. And greatness demands that you go through hell alone before heaven ever hears your name. But that's the cost of the crown. And if you're not willing to carry the cross, don't expect the throne. You want the results few have? You must live like few are willing to. And yes, it will be lonely. Yes, you will be misunderstood. Yes, you will lose people. But you will find yourself. You will find your strength. And in that fire, you will forge a life that needs no validation, no applause, no explanation, because your results will speak for you. Your impact will echo louder than any introduction. People will wonder how you did it. They'll try to trace your steps, reverse engineer your rise. But what they won't see is the hours you spent building your mind. They won't feel the nights you faced fear and didn't blink. They won't know the discipline it took to say no. To pleasure, to distraction, to mediocrity. That's what separates the rulers from the regulated. That's the line between excuses and empires. So take this seriously. Your life is not a rehearsal. You don't get to hit reset when you're 40 or 60 or 90. You get now. You get this moment. And every moment after that is a mirror, reflecting what you built or what you avoided. Stop waiting for the breakthrough. You are the breakthrough. Stop searching for permission. You are the authority. Everything you need is already inside of you. But it will not awaken through comfort. It will only rise when you decide to live like your future depends on it. Because it does. You're not here to exist. You're here to expand, to elevate, to conquer your inner world so completely that the outer world has no choice but to follow. Every minute you choose discipline over distraction, faith over fear, vision over noise. You are building your empire. And it might not show today. It might not show tomorrow. But one day, you will wake up, and the world will look different. Not because it changed, but because you did that. You'll thank that version of you who stood in the storm, who stared down every reason to stop and still moved forward, who felt fear and still took action, who had every excuse to fold and chose instead to rise. That is the moment you step into the rare air, the place few ever reach, not because they couldn't, but because they wouldn't. They wouldn't push past the pain. They wouldn't sacrifice their comfort. They wouldn't claim their power. But you did. And that's why you will never live like the rest. Because you were willing to do what they refused. You were willing to burn the bridge to average, to walk into the fire of your potential, to face every demon, every doubt, and still keep building. That's what separates a name from a legacy. You don't just want wealth. You want to be wealth. You don't just want power. You want to become a living, breathing force that reshapes your world. Through mindset, through movement, through mastery. And mastery only comes to those who pursue it with obsession. Not interest. Obsession. The kind that wakes you up at 4 a.m. The kind that makes you work while they sleep, study while they party, create while they complain. Because you know something they don't. This life, this chance, this window is not forever. And if you waste it chasing comfort, you'll die full of potential and empty of purpose. But not you. You're not here to die full. You're here to empty yourself into the world. To give everything you've got. To live so fully, so loudly, that when your time comes, you go with no words left unsaid. No dreams left unbuilt. That is the mindset of a builder. That is the creed of an empire maker. You stop negotiating with your goals. You stop apologizing for your ambition. You stop lowering your standard to match the world. and start raising your world to match your standard. This isn't just about money. This isn't just about status. This is about who you become in the process. The kind of person who sets a vision, locks it in, and will not stop until it breathes. That kind of person changes everything. Not just their bank account, but their bloodline, their neighborhood, their generation, their future. You were not born to chase. You were born to create, to speak life into dead places, to turn brokenness into building blocks, to look at what most people call impossible and make it real. That's the power of clarity. That's the power of faith. That's the power of a mind that refuses to be ruled by excuses. Excuses are the language of the lost. But you are found in purpose, built by fire, drive by vision, anchored in action. So no, you're not broken. You're becoming. No, you're not behind. You're loading. No, you're not dreaming. You're engineering your empire, piece by piece, thought by thought, habit by habit. And when the world finally sees what you've been building, they'll say it came out of nowhere. Let them. You'll know exactly where it came from. From the nights you showed up alone. From the moments you held the vision when no one else could see it. From the days you refused to break and chose instead to build. From excuses to empire. This is your time. This is your chapter. This is your crown. Now rise and claim it. They will bury your dreams quietly. Not with dirt, but with delay. Not with rejection, but with excuses. You won't hear the sound of the coffin closing, because it happens slowly, one compromise at a time. Excuses are elegant liars. They wear the robes of reason. They speak with the voice of logic. But make no mistake, they are assassins in disguise. You said you'd start tomorrow. Tomorrow turned into next week. Next week turned into next year. And now, the fire that once raged in your gut is nothing but a flickering ember. You weren't born to bow to fear. You weren't built for mediocrity. And yet, somewhere along the way, you made peace with average. You called it realistic. You called it safe. But it was neither. Because the truth? Safety is the most dangerous prison on earth. It promises protection, but it strips away your potential. It feeds you comfort, while starving your calling. Excuses will show up dressed like friends. I'm tired. It's too late. I wasn't born into wealth. They have more followers. They started earlier. They're lucky. Luck. Tell that to Lincoln, who rose from a log cabin, with a broken heart, a bankrupt pocket, and more failures than victories, but refused to be owned by any of them. Tell that to Edison, who tried and failed 10,000 times before the light stayed on. Not because he was lucky, but because he was obsessed, because he decided that excuses were not allowed. In the life of a man who chooses destiny, you want to know why most people never build anything great? Because it's easier to build an excuse than it is to build a future. But listen to me, you cannot have both. You either burn your excuses, or you bury your dreams. That's the price. That's the line. That's the unbreakable law of greatness. You think you have time? Let me tell you something. Time is laughing at you. Every second you hesitate, it's already gone. It does not care how old you are. It does not care how broke you are. It does not care how hard your past has been. Time offers no refunds, only choices. And every excuse you tell yourself is a withdrawal from the account of your future. The man who becomes something, who forges wealth, who leaves a legacy, he's not made of more talent. He's not built from better DNA. He simply decides. No more lies. No more limits. No more excuses. Your future doesn't care what your parents didn't give you. It doesn't care about the degree you didn't earn. It doesn't care about the town you came from. All it wants to know is, do you want this bad enough to bleed for it? Because dreams don't come to the well-prepared. They come to the obsessed, to the focused, to the unforgivingly disciplined. Andrew Carnegie didn't rise from poverty by giving in to fear. He refused to accept his limitations. He built a steel empire because he silenced the voice that said, "You're not enough." So tell me, what's louder in your mind? The voice of purpose, or the voice of permission? Because purpose never asks permission. It demands sacrifice. It demands discipline. It demands that you trade your comfort for greatness. And the cost? Everything that no longer serves you. Every excuse you've protected. Every fear you've justified. Every habit you've used as a hiding place. You must burn them all. You must become the arsonist of your old life. Because if you don't destroy your excuses, they will destroy your destiny. Do you think champions sleep easy? Do you think greatness feels good every day? No. It's not about feeling good. It's about choosing to fight when everything in you wants to quit. Success is not a lucky draw. It's a daily war. and the battlefield is your mind. You must confront the comfortable thoughts that whisper lies like lullabies. Just take a break. You've done enough. Maybe next year. No, you've done enough when your life reflects your vision. Not before. And if your reality does not yet match your dream, then the work isn't over. The fight isn't finished. The climb hasn't peaked. There's more in you. You know it. You feel it. You see glimpses in the quiet moments. When you imagine what could be. That vision? It's not random. It's a command. A command from the part of you that still remembers who you were before the world told you to settle. So rise. Not tomorrow. Not next Monday. Now. Burn the excuses. Or bury your dreams.